Hi, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. Welcome to our Friday live question and answer class, where we look at American English pronunciation and other elements of American accent training to help you improve your personal and professional communication in American English. Please feel free to ask your questions anytime in the chat. You can ask me about anything related to pronunciation, intonation, maybe words or sounds that you have difficulty with. I'll answer your questions and let you know where you can find resources for that information on my YouTube channel and on my website, speechmodification.com. Today, I would like to talk about accent error patterns that are typical for speakers of the Arabic language. And if you don't speak Arabic, this class will still be useful for you because I'm going to talk about patterns that affect many languages. And I also want to let you know how to find out what accent patterns you tend to have because of your native language. So many people realize that, if they're speaking English and it's not their first language, that they have an accent when they're speaking. But they may not realize what that accent actually is, what that consists of. And typically it's because in your first language, you learn a sound system. You learn how sounds go together to make words. You learn to interpret those sounds and differentiate them. And when you learn second and third languages, that sound system from your first language functions like a filter. So I'm hearing the sounds of the new language. Some of them are the same. They line up with my language. I hear those just fine. Others are slightly different, and my brain filter from my native language might affect how I'm hearing those new sounds. And then it also affects how I produce those new sounds. So when I'm speaking in English, I might be changing some of the sounds and some of the patterns because of my native language. I also may be able to perfectly say some of these sounds in some contexts, but if my native language doesn't have those sounds in other contexts, for example, maybe my native language has the Z sound, but it doesn't put it at the ends of words. In that case, I might make errors in American English with words that end with the Z sound. So we'll talk about how that works. But how do you know for your native language what's happening? Like I said, today we're going to talk about Arabic and give people a good overview and understanding of what's happening with Arabic. But you can go to my website, speechmodification.com. I'm going there now. And you can find accent overviews for, hello, nice to see you, for all languages. If you go there and your language isn't there, let me know, and I'll do some research and make sure I create one for you. But when I'm on speechmodification.com, I can find those on my store page. So take a look at the menu. Go here to the store, and you're going to look for the free downloads. And so when I'm looking at free downloads, I'll see many, many different languages. And these are a great way to get started with knowing what's happening in your speech. So for example, we have Amharic, Arabic, Cantonese, French, etc. It's a free PDF, and you can also find many other links and resources based on your native language on my website. So what's happening for Arabic speakers, and how does this affect other people's speech as well? One of the patterns that Arabic speakers tend to have is that in the beginnings of words, when words begin with the P, P, T, T, or K sounds, K, they have a tendency to say these sounds without a puff of air. So when I say words like paper, talk, there's a puff of air that comes out of my mouth when I say that P or that T sound. If my native language is Arabic, we don't use those sounds that way in Arabic. And so my word paper might sound more like paper. I'm not making that P of air. To the American listener, that sounds more like I'm saying a B sound. So I'm not saying vapor with a B sound, but my American listener can't hear the difference if I'm saying vapor versus paper. So to work on that, I work on the P and T words and sounds. And I have videos for you on my YouTube channel and on speech modification that will teach you how to correctly say those sounds. Other languages that have this error pattern include Spanish, many of the Indian languages, and a few other languages. So again, this is a pattern that affects not just the Arabic speakers, but others as well. We have a comment that dark L is arduous for us. Yes, so the L sound at the ends of words is also a pattern that is prevalent in many languages. And what I suggest for working on the L sound at the ends of words is trying to notice that before I say the L in words like tall and feel, that I have an extra sound. So that's basically a schwa sound. It sounds like and I'm making a little bit of a different tongue shape for that L when it's at the end of a word. So if I'm saying a word like let or light, the front of my tongue goes up behind my teeth and I release. So let and light. That's called a light L by some people, and then my tongue goes behind my teeth. But if I'm saying tall or feel, the front of my tongue is going up, but before that, I have an sound, tall. Feel is a little bit easier to try. So I'm saying fee, and because I have that schwa sound before my L, my tongue, is higher up in the back, and just the front of my tongue touches up at the last minute. So try feel. So again, I can feel that my tongue is doing something slightly different. If I use that light L at the beginning, it sounds more like feel, rather than feel. Slowing down and saying all the sounds separately, feel, can help me get that new dark L. I do have videos about the final L sound that can break that down even further for you and give you more examples and help you to learn that. So I suggest that. Habib is also mentioning the word apple, and that is an example of a syllabic L where the L sound, again, kind of has a little small schwa before it, apple, pull. And so I don't want it to go right from the P to the L. I don't want apple. I want the back of my tongue, apple, to be, my tongue is further back and down with that schwa sound before the L. You can find more help for words like apple, little, Seattle, where there's some other consonants before your L on my syllabic L video. So check that out. If you don't know how to find videos on my channel page, I suggest using the search box. You can type in your word like apple, or you could type in American L or dark L, and the videos and lessons will come up for that. And then you can also do that on my website. Many of the videos are there as well, including additional lessons on the free practice. So if I go to free practice and I click on online practice free trial, the free trial page is going to come up, and I'm going to be able to use the search tools there for what I'm looking for. So for example, I'm going to just type in final L, and I call it final L because it's the final sound in the word versus initial L is the beginning of the word. But I could just also type in L here, and I can see all of the lessons that have to do with final L. So let's look at the American L lesson. And here's some visuals for me on what's happening with that light L and that dark L. Here's several videos, and also a video about syllabic L that I was talking about that for words like apple, and some examples and text, so I can see other words that have this pattern, and I can practice on those words. So I hope you'll take a look at those resources and use those as well. We have some more questions. Hi, nice to see you, Shweta. She asks, how many ways can we use well as a discord discourse marker. Could you please help with this? Well, well can be somewhat of a filler word. And discourse markers, I believe we've talked about this a little bit before, that I use them as I'm transitioning from one part of a sentence to another. So I'm not really prepared to give you a very complete answer on that today. Why don't I come back to you with that and do some research? Since I'm more focused on the pronunciation and American accent than I am on how to use American grammar. Another question, importance of resonance in American English. So resonance is part of how my voice sounds. Resonance can be very varied from person to person. Perhaps you're thinking a little bit more about intonation, which is how I'm using stress and pitch and voice to convey meaning. And intonation is extremely important in American English. Being well understood, you can have perfect pronunciation, and if your intonation is not typical or is very different from the American patterns, then Americans will have a difficult time understanding you. Resonance is more about the tone quality and how your voice sounds, and that's just general speaking. Doesn't matter what your language is, that has more to do with the physics of your voice. So Shweta's noticing. So maybe you can listen to my discourse markers as I'm talking, and you can answer that question for the class. Thank you. Yes, English is like music. We have rhythms and patterns to convey meaning and stress. And you can find out more about intonation on my intonation playlist. I would say that that's a really good starting point for understanding it. I also have quite a few lessons on my website, but if you're going to go to Speech Modification Seattle, my channel page, look for the intonation playlist. Let me just go to speech modification. And so on my channel page, you'll see on my playlists, just page down to you'll see playlists for American accent. And you'll want to go to the intonation playlist, American intonation. So that walks you through some of the basic rules, helps you understand how we stress words, how to use pitch, and how to have that American sound, and also what intonation is, if that's something that's new for you. Great. Okay, so we talked about one pattern for Arabic speakers. Another one is at the ends of words. If there are voiced sounds, you have a tendency, if you're a native Arabic speaker, to devoice those sounds. So what does that mean, and who else needs to know this? This is a pattern that affects Spanish speakers, German speakers, Chinese speakers, Indian English speakers, Russian speakers. Almost all languages have this pattern. So Arabic speakers, yes. The rest of you, yes, too. So we talk about this a lot because it tends to affect how we sound when we're speaking in terms of grammar. A lot of times I add Z sounds and D sounds for verb tenses, for possessives, for plurals. And if I make an error in my pronunciation on those, it can sound like I'm making a grammatical mistake. So I don't want my accent to make it sound like I'm not speaking English grammatically correctly. Voiced sounds are simply sounds where my voice is on. So all of the vowel sounds are voiced. When I say ah, e, o, my voice is on. I'm touching my throat because I can feel the vibration of my vocal folds, and that gives it voicing. So if you feel a vibration when you say ah, try that with me, ah, I can feel that my voice is on. Some of the consonant sounds have voicing as well. So for example, the Z sound, z, I should be able to feel the vibration in my throat. Versus the S sound, s, there's no vibration in my throat. And so many words that end with a Z sound in American English, like was and is, if I'm an Arabic speaker or many other native languages, I might, instead of saying the Z on was, I might say it more like was. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, isn't that an S? It's spelled with S. Was, is, use, these. Even though these are spelled with letter S or letter SE, they all have the Z sound. So I might be making this mistake, this error, because I thought it was supposed to be an S. I'm also likely making this error because in my native language, we don't put the Z sound at the ends of words. So this is a big pattern, S and Z. Other voice sounds that this happens for are the D sounds. So words like need or had might sound more like neat or hat because I devoice them. I don't want that error. It happens for the G, the V, the J sound, and other sounds. Again, this is because this pattern happens for many, many languages, and it's important for grammar. I have a lot of videos and lessons for you about voiced end sounds. So you can look for final Z, final D. You can look for voiced end sounds, and you'll find lots of resources to help you with that pattern as well. We have another question. How to pronounce with her all together. Double H makes me confused. So when I'm saying with her, I have to move from the TH tongue position with my tongue between my teeth, the air flowing, to the her position where my tongue is back in my mouth and my throat is open for the air to flow. So if I'm saying her, I should have a little bit of airflow in the back. And if I'm saying with her, I basically have to stop a little bit between those two words. I can't really glide them very well, link them very well. So I'm going with her. She has her purse with her, etc. One thing that does happen sometimes with words that start with initial H when we link them is that we might leave the H off a little bit. Like I might say, are you with her? With her. And then I leave that H off. I go right from the TH into the So I'm going with her, with her. I wouldn't do it so much in a with her context. More, we tend to leave that H off in cases like saying is he. So I might say is he going, is he busy, is he on the phone, rather than is he. I hope that helps you with her. The with, probably mostly it's going to be useful to practice that with TH. So you could try it with other words, with him, with her, with us, and just practice it slowly and make sure you're making all of the sounds, and then try to speed up over time to get that transition. Question about grammar books that I recommend. I have some websites that I can recommend to you, and depending on where you are, sometimes doing a basic English class with grammar is going to be really useful because they'll prioritize where you are, what level you are in terms of grammar and what to learn. I can research that for you a little bit. I tend to give people references for internet resources rather than books because I don't do a lot of teaching of grammar, and so I'm not really familiar with which ones are the best. Thank you for your question. I can look into that a little bit more for you. Following up with the with her, it is easier and quicker to say with her than with her. And so if that flows naturally and sounds good, then go with that. And that's why we have those types of linking and reductions, because of ease of use. So for fluent speaking, for American speakers, we tend to do those things because of the mechanics of speech and what makes it more simple. Great. Okay, a little bit more about Arabic speakers. Another pattern that's true that happens for Arabic speakers and many, many other languages is that the TH sounds are challenging to pronounce correctly in American English. So Arabic speakers will sometimes use the incorrect tongue position for TH. So I might be trying to say the word think or the word both, and instead of my tongue being between my teeth, my tongue will be behind my teeth, and think would sound more like sink, both would sound more like bos. The other error that Arabic speakers and other speakers have is that I might stop the air on that sound. So instead of think, it might sound more like think. That's because my tongue is pushing against my teeth. Or both might sound more like both. So you can get a lot of help for American TH on my website and on my playlist for American TH. I also suggest another free download from my website is my book about pronouncing the word the that walks you through the steps of learning how to pronounce American TH. It has video links and practice materials for you. It's free. Go to speechmodification.com and you'll see it on my homepage or on my store page, the free ebook about American TH. So that's a really good resource. I hope you'll check that out. Most languages have these similar difficulties for the TH sound. Another pattern that many Arabic speakers have, as well as Indian English speakers, Russian, German speakers, and others, is that when a word ends with the ng sound, the ng sound, such as doing or thing or going, that they will have a tendency to say an extra K or a G sound. So for example, an native Arabic speaker might, instead of saying going, it might sound more like going or going. And so that's a pattern where they're releasing their tongue and adding this extra sound. You can look for my videos about final NG to learn how to correct that error pattern. And that's true for many, many languages as well as the NG sound being confused with the N sound. So people might accidentally say goin' instead of going. Yes, another question. Carolina says, how about the pronunciation of TH plus R, like in the word three? Very good question. So TH and R are both difficult by themselves. What I typically recommend is practicing TH words like think and thin to make sure you have that TH position, and practicing R words like ride and ready to make sure you have that back R position. Then when you're ready to put those two together, what I tend to do when I have to pronounce TH and R together is that my tongue is getting ready for the R before I have to say it. So the challenge is that TH is a tongue position that's very far forward with the tongue between the teeth. And R is a tongue position that's back and tight in the back of the mouth. And so moving from one to the other presents challenges for people. To be able to say three, the front of my tongue does have to be in that TH position, but the back of my tongue is already starting to be tight, and I just pull the front back to finish the R sound. So you can try it this way. Say three without the TH sound first. Try re. Feel where your tongue is. Feel that tight back American R. And then go into that R position like you're going to say re, but get your tongue ready for the TH. Three. So that way, my tongue is partly into the R position. It's easier for me to move into it quickly. I can also go very slowly and pull back from three, but it's more cumbersome, and you'll notice it doesn't sound as smooth. So words like three, throw, through, the key is to be trying it with just the R first. Re, three, row, throw, roo, through, so that I feel that R position and I can move to it quickly. I do have a video about THR words, both at the beginnings of words like three and through, and also at the ends of words like other and either. You can find that by typing in THR in the search box on my channel page or on speechmodification.com, or looking at my TH playlist that has all of the TH videos, including the THR video. That's a great question. Thank you for bringing that up. Many times when we have multiple sounds together that have accent error patterns, and then we have to put them together in the same word, those words are particularly challenging. Another question. The Z sound in the ends of words. Do you have to prolong the zone, the Z sound? You're welcome, Carolina. If I'm saying a word that ends with Z, like use or has, I do not have to prolong that Z. I'm not saying it has a long Z sound. That would be exaggerated. When I'm practicing and trying to get that Z sound on there, I may want to lengthen it a little bit to make sure I'm not devoicing it, to make sure I'm saying has and not has. But what we tend to do is when the word ends with a Z or another voice sound, the vowel is slightly longer. So if I'm saying has, the word is a little bit longer than a word like has. Has isn't a word. How about bus and buzz? So these words are the same, but the first one has the voiceless S, and the second one has the voiced Z. This word is longer. Bus, buzz. So the length doesn't really, I don't linger on that Z. That's not where I'm adding the length. It's on the vowel sound. Bus, buzz. Same thing happens for words like coat and code. Coat, code. My vowel is a little bit longer. That allows my listener to hear that it's a voiced sound at the end versus a voiceless sound. The other thing to know about your question on words like use or has is that that Z sound will link to the next word. So if I'm saying use a napkin, use a fork, it's really sounds sounds like use because I'm linking use or has. If I'm saying has a friend, I link it, and it sounds more like has a. And that's where I'm going to really be able to perceive that Z sound that it's voiced. I don't have to lengthen. I don't want has a. They just naturally flow together, but my voice stays on and they get linked. Great. So you'll see as you're looking at the downloads of Overview of Accent to determine what patterns you have in your native language, you'll see that many of them also have a lot of vowel sounds. We've been working on individual vowel sounds in our American Sounds Challenge live classes, and you can also find videos for all of the different vowel sounds on my vowels playlist and lessons for vowels on my website. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about vowel sounds, except to say that most languages have certain vowels like E and I, or and a, that tend to be, you tend to have error patterns on those when you're speaking in English. When you go to my website and if you go to my online courses, my 6-week course will talk about the most important vowel sounds that affect all languages, as well as you can look for which vowels you may be pronouncing differently because of your native language. It's helpful in general to learn the overall sound system for vowels in American English and begin to practice on common words. You can join our next American Sounds Challenge class next week. We'll be looking at vowels again, and you can see that full playlist on my channel page that will walk you through sound by sound. Use the accent overview download from the website to see which vowels to focus on first. And also you may notice certain words are difficult for you to differentiate and hear the vowels, and you may know some vowel sounds you may be saying incorrectly. So that's going to be a part of all of different accents, including Arabic. Thank you so much for all of your questions today. If you have more questions, I'll take a few more here before we wrap up. We'll be looking at other language backgrounds in our next Friday question and answer classes. So if you have a request for your language, let me know. I'm thinking about looking at Indian English speakers, Russian, Spanish, Chinese, some of the languages that we have the most of here in the US, but I know many of you are all around the world and you speak other languages and you might like to have some information about those. So let me know your preferences. Nice to see you from Peru. Thank you so much for being a part of class. If you're watching this as a replay and you have questions, you can put them in the comments and I will come back to them and make sure that I let you know where you can find the answers to those questions. Please try to use the search tools on the website and on the channel page to help you find things. And if you can't find something, just ask me a question, let me know. You can send me an email or leave a comment on one of my videos. I'm always happy to help you find the answers. And if I don't have a video for you already to answer your question, I'll make one. I think that the things that you ask me help me make the channel better and help me give you what you actually need to improve. So keep asking questions. I appreciate it. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, you can consider doing that because if you click on the notifications bell on YouTube, YouTube will let you know when I'm live and also when I upload new videos for you. So you can join us. We'll be live again next week, Friday at 12 o'clock Pacific time, taking questions and answering them and talking about another language background. And we'll have continuing with the American Sounds Challenge classes next week as well. We have a few sounds left to do. So if you haven't yet tried those classes, you might like them. They're really going to help you with specific sounds. Thanks so much for being a part of class today. I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com. Remember, if you want to sound American, you can do it. SpeechModification.com.